Got a little project to make some Lincoln logs for some boys that are 5, 6, and 7 years old. And this is a little craft. We were thinking about using logs, but I saw on the web that some of the guys were using noodles. So I went to the dollar store and bought $20 of the noodles, cut them into 3 pieces evenly, and they're a little bit under 4 feet, about 47 inches or so. So that made them about 15.5 inches long, and that is the Lincoln log. Basically what I'm doing with this jig is I'm just making them look like a Lincoln log, and you stick your tube down inside there, you'll cut it, and when you're done cutting, there you go, you have it. It takes about a minute to make one. So yeah, and here's the jig. The jig is basically, this is 1.25 inches to here, and this is alright, the jig measures right about 16 inches long, and the tubes fit inside of them, and they're like 15.5. So with a 1/4 inch made out of 1/4 inch Luan. This is just the cheap $15 plywood that you can get at the home store. Your first mark is 1.25 inches, and then your next mark is at 3 3/4 from the inside. And so 1.25 inches and 3 3/4, and that's your notch where your 2 notches go. And then I just mirrored it, put it on the other end. And then I drilled a hole here with a square from corner to corner, and that gave me my center, and my tubes fit down inside there. So let's go ahead and fit a tube down in there. Just take your tube, stick it down in here like this, and just press it down in there so it's sitting down in there. There's your finger hole, and that's to get it out. And then you make your cut, like right here at this slice right here, head on. It's just straight across there, 1 or 2 little bitty cuts. So you cut this one across here and this one across here, and then you take it and you just go across with your knife like this, and the blade comes out on the other side, and you just kind of saw it across there. You turn your blade over and come back, and you come across this side here, and like that, and you use the 2 edges of the plywood as your reference for the thickness of it, and then that just comes out like that. Pull that little piece out of there. You need to trim it up just a little bit, that's fine. Since I'm trying to hold the camera and cut it at the same time, it didn't come out very neat. That's the worst one we cut. But anyway, so there it is, and it's a nice little notch. Again, they fit in there just really easy, and we'll go over here and cut the other one, and then you just flip it in for end, and you do the same thing. It takes about a minute to get it done. A couple little tips on this: you do need a utility knife with a full blade, so get you a brand new one that's the length so that it'll fit across your jig when you're cutting it, because when you're sawing across here, you want that other side to be over there. It's not all that critical, but you know, it's nice to have that other guide over there to kind of point you in there. And when I'm first starting off, I'm cutting in about so far, then I turn the blade over, and then I cut a little bit deeper, and then I hit the other side, and that gives me a pretty flat Lincoln log. So I'm getting ready to turn this over now. I just pull the thing out with the finger right here and flip it over, and we'll start sawing on the other side. Alright, when you turn it over, of course you want to put your notches straight down into the bottom of the hole. And you know, these jigs are they're close. I mean, your foam pieces, they might be a 1/4 inch difference in them from your tube, from kind of, don't get all bent out of shape about that. Just stick it in there and kind of center it up in the jig, and then go to cutting on the back side. Go ahead and just cut across the line like that, like that, and take my blade and cut through there like this. And then on the second pass, I go over there and I connect up to the other side, and then you just pull your piece out, toss it in the trash. Then the other side, got your 2 marks, make your little saw mark into it, turn it around, and cut back to the other side of the corner, and then you can pull your edge out. And then put your finger in there, pull it out, and you got a nice Lincoln log for your Lincoln log set. Alright, well, got a Ranger Kid day camp that I'm going to, and they wanted me to make some Lincoln logs. So cut all those Lincoln logs out, and I thought, man, they need to be brown. It was red and blue, as you can see. I've still got a little touch up to do. There's some blue and a little red, and I used a low pressure, high volume sprayer with just latex, acrylic latex, and painted this. and I've got to do a little touch up with it just yet. So this is my first coat, and I'll probably hit it again tomorrow and do that. I just made this rack out of an old 4x4 that I came out of my son's tree house. It's back underneath the shed, so I ripped it down to 5 boards, or 6 boards I guess, and they're probably about a ½ inch thick. And that was an old CCA 4x4, so I made a rack and drilled holes in it, and then run a string through it, and run it back and forth, and then use clothespins to separate them while I was spraying the ends. And that's kind of what I'm doing. Do a little touch up, but for the biggest part, they're made. They make a couple of pretty tall log cabin houses, and then here's a roof. Cut some blue foam and glued it with Gorilla Glue. Shot a little moisture down in here, and then put the Gorilla Glue in there. So those will be nice and tight, hopefully. And when they build their log cabin, they'll put the roof on it, and that'll be part. This is an event for boys from 5 to 7 years, 8, 5, 6, and 7, and our Ranger Kid group for Ranger Kid Day Camp.